Okay, so this is the what is large intestine in human being. See, we are going to discuss about the large intestine here. So we will discuss one by one each point. Okay, so in human being, large intestine is about 5 feet long. Okay, and it is divided into two part. Large intestine is divided into two region. First region is called as colon, which is about 1.5 meter long, and second part is called as rectum, which is about 10 centimeter long only. Okay, so the large intestine is divided into two main region. One is colon and another is rectum. Okay, so here it is given about 1.5 meter. We have the first region called colon, and the rectum is about 10 centimeter in length. Okay, in adult. Okay, then the colon is again divided into three basic region. Okay, colon is again divided into three basic region. One is called as ascending. Here it is given ascending colon. Ascending colon. Then second one is called as transverse colon. Transverse colon. And the third one, and the third region of the colon is called as descending colon. Descending colon. Okay, at the end of the ascending colon, see, ascending colon is very important because at the base of ascending colon, at the base of ascending colon, finger like outgrowth is present, and which is called as appendix. Okay, appendix is the vestigial organ in human being. Okay, next point I'm writing here. Appendix is vestigial organ in human being. In human being. Okay, because it has no use. Okay, so let me discuss some important point about the appendix. So appendix I'm writing here. Okay, so we already been discussed about what is appendix. Okay, this is all about the appendix. At the base of the ascending colon, finger like outgrowth is present, which is called as appendix. And appendix is a vestigial organ in human being. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about the function of appendix. So appendix contain, or in appendix, many useful bacteria bacterias are grown, which secretes digestive enzyme which helps to digest digest cellulose. Okay, we digest the food contain cellulose. Okay, so therefore we can say cellulose is digestive enzymes secreted by bacteria which are grown in appendix, and they convert into the simple form of food called fructose and glucose and fructose. Okay, but we are eating cooked food every day. Whatever the food we are eating in our everyday diet, that food is cooked one, is it or not? So when we will heat the food, okay, which contains cellulose will get breakdown into the glucose and fructose. That means there is no cellulose is consumed by human being, because we are eating the cooked food. And when we will heat that cellulose will going to dissociate and break down to form simpler organic food called glucose and fructose. That means we are eating glucose and fructose in in the form of cooked food, is it or not? That means cellulose is not consumed by human being, so there is no need to digest cellulose in human being. Okay, that's why that enzymes secreted by the bacteria which are grown in appendix have no use. That's why appendix is being the vestigial organ in human being, but it is useful in other organisms like herbivores. Okay, because they are eating directly the cellulose from the green plants. That's why they need appendix, and that bacteria which secretes the digestive enzyme which helps in digestion of cellulose. That's why appendix is useful in herbivorous animal, but it is not useful in human being. That's why we are like kind of calling it as a C, is a vestigial organ, west organ. Okay. So any doubt in appendix part?
No, sir.
Okay. So I want you to take a screenshot for this.
Taken.
Wait. Okay. Now whole portion. Everyone have taken screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to erase it now because we will need more space. Okay. We'll discuss about from the notes now. Okay. So the large intestine in human being is about 5 feet long. Okay. It has the two main region called colon, which is about 1.5 meter long, and another part is rectum, which is 10 centimeter long. Okay. In case of adult, the region of the large intestine after the ileum. See, ileum is the part of small intestine. It opens into the large intestine in which part? The first part called colon. Okay, while the last part of the large intestine is called as rectum. So first part is colon, and small intestine, like its end part is ileum. So ileum is going to open into the colon. Okay, and so it is the first part of the large intestine, and rectum is the last part of the large intestine. The colon again has the three regions. One is called as ascending colon, another is called as transversal colon, and last one is called as descending colon. At the base of the ascending colon, small finger-like outgrowth is present. Okay, that is called as appendix. Is called as appendix. And see, it is not a house, it is has. Let me correct it. It has. Okay, so the large that appendix has many useful bacteria, okay, which required for the food digestion. So bacteria are not going to digest the food, but the enzyme which is secreted by the bacteria which are going to digest the food. Okay, so rectum opens into the anus. Okay, so the next part of the rectum, its end part, we can say, is open into the anus, and from where the food material like undigested food and the residue of digested food is given out from the body through the anus. And this activity is again controlled or and regulated by the sphincter muscle. Okay, so again sphincter muscle here we have, it is again a very important part. It regulates the urge of stool. Okay, so what is sphincter muscle? The muscle, the muscles which regulates the urge of stool. Okay, is called as sphincter muscle, and which is present in external and internal region of the anus. Okay, so we can say it's present in between. Okay, so this is sphincter muscle is very important because it regulates the urge of stool. Okay, beta, understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if we will go through the diagram. Okay, so this structure, see, this structure, it is present at the base of the, this is the part of the large intestine. Okay, it's called as ascending colon. Ascending colon, and on its base, this is the base of the ascending colon. Okay, here the finger like outgrowth is present, this is called as appendix. Okay, this part is called as, this part till here. Okay, from here to here it is called as transversal colon. Transversal colon, and the end part is called as rectum. Okay, see, this is the coiled, highly coiled structure. If you can see over here, this is nothing but the small intestine. It is small intestine, and this end part of the rectum is called as anus. Okay, so this is the structure of large intestine. Okay, beta.
Where is a descending column?
See, descending column is nothing but it is a this part, huh? See, this is transversal part. Okay, oh, yes, this is transversal part, and this is the descending. Yes, it contains three regions, huh? So it is descending colon. Okay, this is ascending, this is transversal, and this is the descending. Ascending means the food or the residue of the digested food which is moving in upward direction. Okay, in order to to transfer, in order to absorb the nutrition, like not nutrition but water and salt and electrolytes from the digested food, and residue of the undigested food from where water is being absorbed. So it have to pass through like this pipeline structure of the large intestine. So the first region is called as ascending because food is pushed in upward direction. Here in transversal direction, that's why it is called as transversal colon, and here the food is pushed into the downward direction. That's why it is called as descending colon. And then that it is stored in the rectum. It is about 10 centimeter long. Okay, and when all the digested food and residue of the digested food and undigested food which is stored in the rectum, and time to time it is removed out from the body through the opening called anus, and that is controlled by the sphincter muscle. Okay, sometimes sphincter muscle is controlled by the autonomous nerve system, whereas sometimes, okay, we can control through our will also, sometime for some time only. Okay, so this is the way how large intestine works in our body. Okay, so now we had to discuss more function about the large intestine. So I'm going to scroll the screen aside. First, I want you to take a screenshot for this part.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Done, sir.
Done. Okay.
Done, sir.
Mhm. Okay. Function of large intestine. So number one, see, there is no digestion process takes place in large intestine. So no digestion process takes place in large intestine. Okay, only absorption of absorption of water, comma, salt, and electrolytes takes place in large intestine. Okay, and here is no absorption of nutrition takes place. Okay, only absorption of water, salt, and electrolytes take place in large intestine. Okay, beta, understood?
Yes.
Okay, so now take a screenshot for this part also.
Written and copy, sir.
Okay, okay. Now other student, done?
Done, sir.
Okay. Okay, so now we are going to discuss about peristalsis. Okay, so any doubt here? Any doubt, beta, in large intestine?
No, sir.
Anyone?
Hello.
So it is clear?
Clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So now we will discuss about the peristalsis. Peristalsis, or it is also called as peristaltic. peristaltic movement. Okay. See, when again I'm going to draw the structure for human. Okay. So this is the mouth. Okay. And it is the buccal cavity. Okay, in buccal cavity, tongue and teeth or tooth are present. Okay, and from here, esophagus starts. It is esophagus. Okay, then esophagus open into the J-shaped stomach. Then it opens into the small intestine and then large intestine. Okay, suppose food is present over here. I'm going to the small region. Okay, so food is present in the form of bolus. It is what? It is bolus. What is bolus?
A ball-like structure of food with
Okay.
the churned food and saliva.
Okay, yes. Okay. The bolus is nothing but the food in the form of ball-like structure and which is formed during the chewing and the mixing of saliva. Okay, in mouth itself. Okay, that bolus enters into the esophagus. Okay, so this is the bolus, and this is the wall of esophagus. Okay, so in this region, suppose if ball is here, so in this region, just above the ball, just above the bolus. Okay, so I'm going to write process here. Once the bolus enters into esophagus, the muscles of esophagus get contract above the bolus and relaxed below the bolus. Okay, see here the contraction takes place. Okay, here the muscle of the esophagus get contract. Okay, and here the muscles get relaxed. Okay, so due to contraction and relaxation of muscles, food is pushed towards the esophagus and then stomach. Okay, so that movement of the food is called as peristalsis or peristaltic movement. Okay, so once the bolus enters into the esophagus, the muscles of the esophagus get contract above the bolus and relax below the bolus, by which food, or we can say bolus, okay, move towards the stomach. Okay, in, or we can say in alimentary canal, because in small intestine, large intestine, the food is moving through the same process. Okay, in stomach or in alimentary canal. alimentary canal. Okay, so this process of the movement of food, okay, this process of movement of food in alimentary canal is called as peristaltic movement or peristalsis. Is called as peristalsis. Okay, but understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want you to take a screenshot for this portion also. Done?
Done, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everyone screenshot has taken? Okay. So I want you to go through that portion so that we will understand in more detail. So the constant wave-like movement. See why it is called wave-like? Due to the contraction and relaxation of muscles of the esophagus or the alimentary canal. Okay. So it is called as wave-like movement. Okay, because it is in the form of contraction and relaxation of muscles. Okay, so the constant wave-like movement of the alimentary canal right from the esophagus to the small intestine is called as peristalsis. Means this movement of the food due to contraction and relaxation of muscle is called as peristalsis. Okay, so muscles present in the wall of the alimentary canal are responsible for this process. Okay, because only, okay, that Teja is joining now. Okay, this movement of the food, okay, in small intestine is takes place due to the contraction and relaxation of muscle. That means only the muscles, they are responsible, that muscles of esophagus and alimentary canal, they are responsible for the movement of food. Is it? This movement helps to push the food through the alimentary canal. Okay, like from esophagus to stomach, from stomach to small intestine, from small intestine to large intestine, and large intestine to the rectum. Okay, and again from rectum through anus, it is removed out from the body. So all this process of the movement of food takes place, and this movement is due to the contraction and relaxation of alimentary canals muscles. That's why it is called as peristalsis. Any doubt beta here?
No doubt, sir.
Okay, so peristalsis is the process, it is not the organ. Okay,
Okay, sir.
okay,
Okay.
okay. So I think half an hour is already been over. So any doubt in here or in small intestine region?
No doubts.
Okay, anyone? Any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Okay,
No doubt, sir.
No doubt, sir.
okay, okay. So, okay, whatever the food that we are eating in our daily life contain three main types of nutrients. Number one, carbohydrate. Number one is carbohydrate. Number two is protein. And number three is lipid, or we can say fat also. Okay, so carbohydrate is being digested with the help of amylase enzyme. Okay, saliva also contains salivary amylase. it helps to break down of carbohydrate into sugar, and further sugar break down into the glucose and fructose. Okay, so we can say amylase helps in digestion of carbohydrate, and it breaks down carbohydrate into sugar and glucose and fructose. Understood? Then protein is digested by the enzyme called protease. Okay, so protease that digests into enzyme break down protein into amino acids. Amino acids. Okay, so these amino acids, okay, are the simple, or we can say a simpler form of the protein. Okay, because when protein is going to break down, it will form the amino acid, then amino acid will going to absorb in our body. Okay, in Sunday's test we had one question: why protein have to be digested? Is it? So that
Yes,
protein,
sir.
yes, that protein
Yes,
have
sir.
to be digested in our digestive system, because that protein is not going to absorb in its protein form. Okay, but it will going to absorb in the form of amino acid. That's why protein have to be digested. Okay, then we have lipid. In digestion of lipid, lipase enzyme. Okay, lipase enzyme helps in digestion of lipid, and lipid and fat breakdowns into the fatty acid. Fatty acid. So fatty acids are the simpler form of the lipids and fat. Okay, so this is the chart. Okay, where amylase helps. We can write here also. Amylase helps in digestion of carbohydrate, where carbohydrate breaks down into the simpler form like sugar, glucose, and fructose. Then protease enzyme helps in digestion of protein. Okay, where protein breaks down into the amino acid. Then we have lipase. It is a digestive enzyme, helps in digestion of lipid and fat. It breaks down lipid and fat into the fatty acid. Okay, and this glucose, fructose, amino acid, and fatty acid will absorb in our body. Okay, understood, beta?
What helps protein break down into amino acids?
See, protease enzyme. See, we are having different types of enzyme. They comes under category of protease. Okay, so protease is a digestive enzyme which break down protein into amino acid. Amino acid are the simpler form of the protein. Okay, amino acid, they are combined, they undergoes polymerization process, and they forms protein. Okay, so that protein is not going to absorb in our body. That's why it have to be break down into the simpler form. So simpler form is amino acids. Okay, yeah. So I want you to take a screenshot for this portion also.
Sir, what's triphase and nuclease?
See, these are nothing but they are the digestive enzyme. They comes under amylase, protease, and lipase. They are also a kind of digestive enzyme, but these are the three main categories. Under these, like protease, they help in digestion of protein. There are certain n number of enzymes, they help in digestion of protein. So they comes under the category of protease only. Okay, like we have one protein digestive enzyme which is present in papaya. It is called, I think, peptidase. Okay, it also helps in digestion of protein, but it comes under the category of protease only. Okay, we are
Okay,
see there are natural as well as these enzymes are being secreted and formed in our body, as well as from natural like fruit, vegetable fibers. They also contain digestive enzyme. Like banana contain amylase. Mango, it also contain amylase. Okay, so there are several types of fruits and vegetables, they contain different types of digestive enzyme. But when we are cooking this food, then that the digestive enzyme, they get destroyed. Okay. Yeah. So I want you to take a screenshot, beta.
Already taken.
Okay.
Already taken.
So okay. So today we are going to end our session here only. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, beta. So have a nice time.
Thank
Stay
you, sir.
home. Stay safe. Yeah. Bye, beta.
Thank you.
Bye, sir. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Bye,
Bye,
beta.
sir.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.